Assalamualaikum. So my name is Muhammad Iqbal Daniel bin Muhammad Noor with the ID of 2023 622 536.
My name is Fatina Zurabin Tusaini and my student ID is 2023-861-782.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Aizat Haikal bin Sajali. My matrix number is 2023873812.
My name is Nurul Haifidaina binti Mazlan. My ID number is 2023-867-524.
My name is Nur Sabiha Rashika binti Ahmad Zuhan. My student ID is 203-874-124. I will explain about the introduction of exploring the impact of currency appreciation and depreciation CNY against US dollar on trade deficits in China. Currency exchange rates like the Chinese yuan CNY against the US dollar USD play a crucial role in the global economics, impacting trade balance, growth and competitiveness. Changes in the CNY's values affect China's trade dynamics significantly. When the CNY strengthens against the USD, Chinese exports may become pricier for US consumers, potentially reducing exports and increasing imports from the US. These scenarios could widen China's trade deficit temporarily but could also spur China's firms enhance efficiency and innovation, boosting for long-term competitiveness. Conversely, CNY depreciation against the USD makes Chinese export cheaper, potentially increasing export and narrowing the trade deficit, albeit with inflation risk and possible trade partner retaliation. Understanding this effect is vital for policymakers, entrepreneurs, and economists navigating international commerce or economic strategy.
Alright, so for the discussion of the topic, the US-China trade gap is a complex issue. China's strong role as a top exporter to the US and slower growth in US export are major factors. Currency fluctuation between the yuan and the dollar make it even more complicated. When the yuan strengthens, Chinese export become pricier for US buyers, potentially reducing imports but harming Chinese exporters and possibly increasing US export to China. Conversely, a weaker yuan make Chinese goods cheaper for US consumer, boosting imports but hurting US exports to China due to a stronger dollar. Understanding this currency impact is key to tackling the US-China trade gap.
Thank you for the presenter. Now, I will continue with the financial management part. The fluctuation in the CNY-USD exchange rate will impact the China financial management, affecting trade balance, import-export dynamic, and also the economic stability. As the world's second largest economy, China monetary changes have a global repercussion, which is a strong CNY makes import cheaper and export more expensive, which is potentially increase the trade deficit, while a depreciation CNY puts export but raise the import cost. An appreciating CNY can attract the foreign capital, risking asset bubble and speculative activities. The effective management strategies such as capital control and enhanced regulation are crucial. The currency devaluation can make China export more competitive, improving the trade balance but also increase the import costs. The policymaker must balance the national and international consideration to ensure the economic stability and growth, using the sound financial policy to address the currency fluctuation. So, by carefully managing this currency fluctuation, China can strive towards sustainable economic development and maintain its position in the global economy. That's all for my part. Thank you.
So today I want to talk about the impact Chinese yen against USD in international business. So, firstly I want to talk about the CNY strength against USD. So what happens? Firstly, highest cost for foreign buyer. Chinese goods become more expensive for international customers. For example, the CNY appreciated nearly 3% in January 2023. This can lead to decrease in export volume as buyers look for cheaper alternatives. Next, increased import affordability. Imports become cheaper for Chinese consumer and business. This can lead to higher import volumes, potentially worsening the trade deficit if imports outpace the export. So next is business adjustment. Export-focused business may shift to higher value product or less price-sensitive market. Importers benefit by expanding their product range or offering competitive price. So next, I want to talk about the Chinese weaken against USD. So what happened? Firstly, cheaper export. Chinese goods become more affordable for foreign buyers. For example, the Chinese yen has declined roughly 2% this year against the USD. This can lead to increase in export volumes, helping to reduce the trade deficit. The next is costlier import. Import become more expensive for Chinese business and consumer. This may decrease import volumes, can also help reduce the trade deficit. Next is business adjustment. Export-oriented business may see increased profit margin and expand their market share. Import-reliant business face higher costs for raw material and finished goods, potentially lead to a higher domestic price. So lastly, I want to talk about the long-term implication and strategic consideration. So firstly is policy and economic stability. Trade deficit influenced by currency change requires strategic response for long-term economic stability. Present trade imbalance can impact national economic policy, trade agreement and industrial strategy. So next is government intervention. The Chinese government may intervene in currency market to stabilize exchange rate or implement measures to mitigate negative impact on trade deficit. Policy like export incentive, tariff and subsidy can also influence to competitiveness of Chinese business in global market. Lastly is adapting to fluctuation. International business operating in or trading with China need to adapt to this currency fluctuation. Understanding global economic dynamic, business strategy and policy response is essential to maintain a competitive edge in the complex world of global trade.
Thank you, Azad. Alright, next I will explain a little about the economic theory of exploring the impact of the currency appreciation and also the depreciation, which is the China against the USD on the trade deficit in China. In this video, I also will highlight three main points that I will explain, which is the first one is economic theory and rational behavior. Number two is positive impact of the currency appreciation and also depreciation. And the last but not least is negative impact and the role of the inelastic demand. The first point I will explain is about economic theory and rational behavior. Economic theory is based on the assumption that investor and consumer act rationally and make the decision that maximize their advantage. However, laboratory tests have to show that the actual investor behavior is more complex than this assumption. Despite this complexity, economic theory remains crucial for the study and the predicting financial market behavior and also the economic trends. They help economics understand how economic might react to changes in policy or other fluctuation factors. Alright, next point is about the positive impact of the currency appreciation and also depreciation. When the China yuan CNY appreciate against the USD dollar, it increased the cost of the China product for the foreign buyer, potentially decrease of the export. However, it also reduced the cost of imports for China consumer and businesses, possibly increase in imports. Conversely, when the CNY depreciate, China goods become cheaper for the foreign buyer, boosting export, while the cost of the import rises for the China consumer, will reducing the import volume. The overall impact of the trade balance depends on the price elasticity of the demand, which measure how sensitive demand is to price changes. If demand is elastic, a decrease in CNY value can significantly improve the trade balance by increasing the export and also reducing the imports. Last is about the negative impact and the role of the inelastic demand. Currency depreciation can also have the negative impact, especially if the demand for the export and import is inelastic, meaning it does not respond significantly to price changes. In such cases, the expected improvement in the trade balance might be minimal. Inelastic demand can result in the only slight changes in the trade volume despite the fluctuation in the exchange rate. Additionally, other economic factors like the substitution effect, economic effect, income effect, and market structure play crucial roles. Government intervention and economic policies can also influence the impact of the currency fluctuation on the trade balance, highlighting the complexity of the predicting real-world outcome based on the solely on the economic theory. I think that's all for my part. Next, let's continue to the next part. Thank you.
In conclusion, currency fluctuations between the Chinese yuan CNY and US dollar USD complicate the US-China trade imbalance. A stronger yuan may reduce the trade gap but hurt Chinese exporters' competitiveness. Conversely, a weaker yuan could worsen the US deficit by cheapening Chinese goods and rising import costs for China. This currency shift affects trade dynamics, economic stability, and requires strategic policy making. Measures like diversifying export markets and boosting domestic production are crucial for mitigating these impacts and sustaining growth amid global trade complexities.